Hi everyone, Byron White here. Happy to have everyone here today. I'm going to wait about another 30 seconds or so and tell the people chime in. I'm very excited to be chatting with you today, and I'm here with Tom Blakeley. Tom, welcome to this presentation.
Yeah, thanks, Byron. It's good to be here.
Right on. So we're going to take on some challenging topics today, namely press releases and how things have changed. This quote that I popped up kind of sums it up a little bit. Bob Dylan had it right. I'm not sure Bob Dylan ever sent a press release out with announcing his new song that he launched back in 1964. But, you know, Tom, Bob may have chosen to do that in this new age of content distribution and getting the word out and the fans in. You know, without further ado, let me kind of give you a quick rundown of how things work and what's going to transpire throughout this presentation. This is our 41st content marketing webinar, monthly webinar that I've run, and I'm very excited to have Tom on the line today. Tom's also joined with his CEO of his company, a guy named Rob Bibb, who I was just chatting with a little bit earlier about Colombia, of all things, and some time he spends there. Very nice gentleman. So Tom might chime in with Rob at the end for some Q&A if anybody has any questions, which I'm hoping you do. So as far as general rules, we're going to go through I'm going to go through a quick 15 or 20-minute presentation today, talking a little bit about the creativity and some big news on news releases. And what I see happening from my perspective there, and then we're going to dive into some creative ideas, which I hope everyone will enjoy. And I'm also going to sneeze in a second, which will be part of the presentation, but I'm going to try to mute it. I think I'll be okay now. Next, we're going to have Tom chime in with some discussion on this multi-channel approach to maximize your results for press releases. What I want people to be able to do throughout this presentation is to ask questions, and you can do that with the panel on the inside. I'm going to go through all the questions. I'll actually chat with you while Tom is speaking about the questions that you asked, and I'll assume everyone can hear me clearly and can ask questions. And most importantly, we love a little tweet love, as we like to say. You can reach me at Byron White on Twitter, and I left some feedback on this presentation and your thoughts to try to get the word out in the sphere on this webinar, and I'll send you a link back in Twitter to a recording of the presentation before anybody else gets it. So you'll be the first to get it if you can take just a minute to send me a thank you, or a loved it, or hated it, or here's how you can make it better, whatever feedback you want to provide to me. That would be great. I'd appreciate it. So without further ado, I want to dive right in and sort of try to explain to you as quickly as I can, you know, how the whole press release process has changed a bit. Many of you on the line remember back in the days when press releases were all about, you know, on-record statements, you know, designed primarily for media professionals, with a thirst for building link popularity and SEO and you know, reaching multiple channels with you know, to connect with your customers. Clearly, press releases have changed radically, and it's no longer about the media, but it's certainly not. It's still about getting an official statement of record for what's transpiring, but there's a new audience out there, and the audience is really driven around, you know, creative statements for a diverse audience, and your audience is now, you know, ranges from customers and even competitors to, you know, friends on Facebook and fans and even foes and investors, stakeholders, shareholders, media, and of course media professionals. But it really is quite different, and the target audience is different, and that means this media needs to change radically. The purpose of a press release, I think, has also changed. It used to, you know, be designed to get the attention of the media and a mention perhaps within the media, and it was, of course, that was used to promote your company in whatever way you could, including reproducing those articles that were written about you and perhaps even your competition. We've all been down that road. There's simply too many press releases out there right now for media professionals to even begin to think about using that channel as a way to find the stories. And instead, press releases are really being used as a distribution channel. It was funny, Tom and I were on the phone talking with a PR veteran just the other day, learning about they're almost disgust about the whole press release channel and what's happened with that. But I think the realities are you need to link to something bigger. You know, your press release needs to tell a much bigger story than could be told in that traditional format, and that of course needs to be designed to help with sales in a creative way, and I like calling that selling without selling. So within press releases, you really need to be linking to things like infographics or podcasts or blog posts, some of these other things that you can see in the left column of this slide. And that's really, I think, the purpose these days, you know, for better or worse, I might add. You know, you could argue that the traditional vehicle of connecting with media was a solid platform from which many stories were generated. And PR firms sort of lived and breathed, you know, crafting that release and getting that story out and sending hand package envelopes out to media outlets with a press release in it, which was a story-ready piece that could be turned around, and the quotations within the release could be used as the story unfolded. But that's changed, and we need to embrace it and understand it and really get into the metrics, and Tom's going to talk a lot about that, so I'm going to move on. But you know, the tactics have clearly changed, and I've talked about that enough probably, but it is important that you understand we need to get away from those boring quotes and those static press releases and the prefab format. That's really all gone. And instead, we have a lot of new tactics, storytelling. You know, we've heard a lot about mock releases, mock press releases. Video clips now almost need to become part of the platform, of the channel. Executive summaries need to perhaps carry on a new life in a press release. You know, taking on controversial topics, and again, putting your own opinions on record for your company about those controversial topics makes a case to make the whole program work better. And of course, finding those problem-solving widgets and time-saving wizards and writing about those and making your company be part of solutions to problems is really the tactic that you need to use with press releases. The old metrics have clearly changed. It's no longer about impressions and the number of calls you get to your PR representative on a press release, the number of stories that were generated as a result of that press release, and the coverage that you got. You know, that's the old metric. Now there are way too many metrics, one could argue, but certainly one that you have to look about how much traffic did that press release generate, how much referral traffic did it generate, much different from organic traffic. What kind of social referrals came from that? There are tools like Radian6 that allow you to keep track of every activity and every performance-based outcome that helps within the sales funnel to turn a prospect into a believer and a believer into a buyer. And press releases, without a doubt, can have an instrumental part of that, and the new performance metric is now all about sales and tying that single individual press release into something that can become a performance-based outcome. So where does press release strategy and news strategy, if you will, press release distribution fit into the marketing workflow? You've heard me all talk, you know, for a long time about the intricacies of content marketing and the workflow, and I would argue that press releases actually fit in every part of that workflow. With regards to planning, you need to view upcoming press releases, think about creative ideas, find the story within your company or within your employees' personal lives or professional lives. You need to create the content around those releases. Obviously, WriterAccess can help with that. You all know that. You need to optimize those press releases, which Tom is going to talk about a little bit today. And you need to, of course, edit them and make sure they conform with style and tone and restrictions and linking within platforms like PR Newswire and PR Web and Business Wire. And so there's a lot of editing that goes on. And, of course, distribution channels we all know about, and performance measurement we just talked about. So it really is a solution that fits with all steps and stages of the content workflow. So I wanted to put together some creative ideas for you about creating the stories. And I've got a few ideas. And the first starting point is to just sort of distinguish between information versus a story. And for my mind, for my dollar, if you will, information tends to fill you up. It's a bunch of rambling facts. It's boring. It's dry. It's not compelling, and it expires, versus stories which move you on and inspire you and can be dramatic or touch the heart. Maybe an infographic, or it's animated, or it's anything but boring. So that's what you need to think about when you think storytelling and how it fits with developing press releases. You also need to think about the multi-channel distribution, which platform, if you will, which requires a multi-story approach. There are different personas and different needs and different methods and forms of a press release that are starting to unfold. That's why we see PR Web, for example, doesn't just have you type in your traditional press release. They allow you to accompany video and or other elements, social engagement and retweeting and tweets and other distribution channels throughout that engagement. So you need to think of these different platforms, how people interact in those channels, and design your press release print accordingly. But your story needs to really support and link to something that's valuable. And these are just a few ideas of things that you need to get in the back of your mind as you think about a press release. It isn't just that story on the page, it's what you're linking to. And I think more than ever, Google, for example, is looking at contextual relevancy for things like releases, and the links, the landing pages on what you're linking to. And that contextual relevancy becomes very important for getting lift and getting juice, if you will, from Google and the other search engines. You need to take creative risks if you're going to make your readers hungry. You need to certainly find creative stories. I'll talk about that in a second. And take on some risks to maybe make people laugh or create something that matters or something that creates buzz. But only if you look very closely at what your readers want and need can you truly give that to them. And I think few of us take the time to do that. And there are a lot of creative ways you can do that, by the way, including even something simple as looking for what people search for on your site, talking to your customer service representatives and asking them what are the common problems that our customers are coming to us with. There's lots of creative ways to find the story. But now let's talk about sort of finding the creative story for your next release. Let's have you look closely at some creative things you could look at. Things like, are there any unique policies in your company? And by the way, if there aren't, there probably should be. We've heard companies like Google offering sabbaticals for their engineers and developers to think about creative ideas that are not restricted to making money for Google. We've heard about companies like HubSpot that offer unlimited vacation for any employees, which has been argued by some to be a tactic to not have to pay people when they terminate or fire them, which is a controversial topic, another great idea to take on. Really just thinking creatively about making the world a better place and changing the world, and anything from community service to remarkable employees. I mean, these are just some ideas that everyone can skim over, but I think that your company needs to be a source for creative stories, and people need to enjoy reading those stories much like they do subscribing to their favorite magazines. So what is your flavor? What is your style? How creatively inclined is your company and your CEO? What are you willing to do to engage customers and to keep them coming back for more? And you need to think of each release you send out as channeling that goal namely to engage your customers. So I now want to turn things over to Tom. I'm going to pass the baton over to him, and then I'm going to go start to look at everyone's questions that may have come in and see if I can answer any of them one-on-one, but then we'll save them all up and bottle them all up for after this presentation. So, Tom, you now have a way to take over the screen. All yours. You there, Tom?
Yeah, thanks, Byron. I very much enjoyed your presentation, and I think it was spot on in how the industry is evolving and how important it is to be creative. You know, everyone now is a publisher, and it's come down to the quality of what's being published and how to amplify, you know, through the distribution and through the reach, your content. And that's kind of what the theme of my presentation is, in this idea that, you know, big news, let's go multi-channel to maximize the results. So here I'm just going to give a brief summary of the discussion points that I'll be talking about today. First of all, you know, what does it take to prepare a good news release? I've put together a checklist. I've relied on it, and it's worked really well for us. Also, I'm going to give an online submission. This particular submission is a PR web submission form. So for those that are not familiar with, you know, submitting a news release, will get familiarized by going through this process. Also, I'm going to talk about something that we're excited about, which is this multi-channel integration, and really using news releases as what we call a fire starter, that the content in the release can be linked out to other channels within the internet marketing system that creates a viral buzz. And when I talk about a fire starter, it's like a digital campaign wheel, and that's one of the terms we've given it, a digital campaign wheel. And for our clients, we may have, you know, one campaign wheel a month, a week, and believe it or not, sometimes daily. What we're finding in the world of, as it relates to SEO, because that was our original background, was search engine optimization. We've been doing it for the last 10 years. We've done it very well. We're managing currently over 38,000 businesses. These are all small to medium-sized businesses. A couple of big guys are in there. But for the most part, we've automated the redundant, tedious tasks that good SEO requires, that most SEO companies are not providing because of the cost associated with it. And we've been able to automate that to get some economy of scale, and then to deliver some, you know, great service there. Well, post Panda and Penguin, you know, we realized that we needed to augment some of our SEO efforts, and this is why we've moved into this multi-channel area in integration. So I'll be going through that in some detail and giving some examples. In this case, linking out the social media from your news releases and creating entire campaigns and viral buzz through that method. And then I'm going to give a couple examples of some clients and some sample results. So the checklist, and many of your listeners that are on here probably are familiar with this, but it's just a good primer to go back over. First thing is have a good social media friendly logo. Make sure it's clean and that it can be replicated easily. Social sites, make sure we have social sites in the media blocks on the submission form, which I'm going to show you later in the presentation, so that you can be contacted. This would be, you know, the icons of the Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn, etc. Include a link every 100 words. That's kind of what our strategy's been. This number of links in a press release has traditionally been determined by the distribution service that you're using, and the frequency or the amount of links in the content itself can be determined by, or is directly has a direct relationship to the price that you're paying or the cost of distribution. The system that we have allows us to put a link out every 100 words, which is, it's pretty exciting. Another thing too is, well, I'll get to that. We have multimedia. Again, we're finding this to be very important. Our videos that are included in our press releases are getting picked up. They're being shared. We also have the ability to put slide share links, Pinterest boards, but also we can add PowerPoint presentations, PDF files, Excel files, actual data files and media files as attachments to the actual press release, which is pretty powerful if it makes sense, with the news release. We're finding that when we write our news releases, we write in small chunks, meaning that each paragraph could be replicated or tweeted about. In most cases, there are some obviously character limitations with Twitter, but in terms of the social media aspects, we really try to, almost like building blocks, link these paragraphs together so each one of them can kind of stand on their own. We want to keep it quick, easy, and creative. We found that if that's the format, we usually limit it to around between 500 and 600 words on our press releases, and we've had some really good pickup, and I'm going to show you that later. Additionally, the titles, of course, should be eye-catching. It should be something that creates interest, or certainly gets your attention, and obviously you want to be using your SEO key phrases. What surprises me is the number of companies that, even after all these years of being conditioned by Google and keywords and so forth, they still are not fully exploiting their key phrases, which are fundamental. Sometimes I'm working with a client, and I'll say, can you send me your keywords? I'll send them to them, and I'll do some research on the client. I'll look at the competitors and so forth. And a lot of times their keywords are not as relevant as they could be, because the client doesn't even understand either the value proposition or they understand the value proposition, but they haven't refined it in terms of what is the most relevant, compelling key phrases for that company. So a lot of times I have to kind of go back and just kind of scrub the whole keyword aspect of the client, and we do a lot of research there. So that's very important. Tell a clear story, in each and every paragraph you write. I mentioned it a little bit earlier. And at the end of it, this is your last chance. Reiterate your points. Try to create something interesting, motivate people. You can also have a link out for an incentive, digital download, a coupon, some type of incentive that could be part of the press release, actually. And in some cases, we actually initiate entire social media campaigns, like a sweepstakes, and base it on the press release itself. And that has been very successful in driving traffic to various social media platforms and getting the ball rolling. We never really know what's going to ignite. That's what we call the news releases fire starters, because sometimes, sometimes we get a campfire out of it, sometimes we get a bonfire, and, what we're shooting for are those forest fires of interest and likes and participation and engagement and so forth. All right, keep your audience and groups in the top of the mind. As Byron mentioned earlier, the people that we're speaking to with these social media press releases are media people, bloggers, consumers. I like what you said in there, Byron, about foes and friends, and because it's a much larger spectrum than the traditional press release. Be interactive. use, the capabilities we mentioned earlier. PRWeb is the company that we're using currently, and they give us lots of capabilities and a lot of access, which I'm going to show to you guys later in the presentation. And sometimes, we'll create a template approach for certain types of formats with certain types of media in the news releases, so that it keeps management of producing and distributing these, efficient. So let's take a look at an online submission example. And on the top part of it here, this is a PRWeb form. You can see the headline, and then we have our summary, which is typically 1 or 2 lines. It's again to be kind of something to really grab. The headline itself gets your attention. The summary is supposed to get your interest, and then the body obviously is supposed to build a conviction and desire to take action. You can see that there's an area to add a video, and then also an area for an image. And then on the right side, on the upper right, you've got the information of the client or whoever's sending out the press release. You usually have a name of a contact person, give the name of the company, a phone number, email address, and you can see where it says follow us on. And this particular client has a Facebook and Twitter page, but if they had a Google Plus, or if they had LinkedIn or so forth, that will appear. That was one of the things you mentioned in things to prepare for. This is the media block that I was referring to earlier. And then at the very bottom, I hope you can see it, it says website. And this is a really cool feature that PRWeb offers. This is an actual iframe into the page that you might be referring to in the news release. So this is a live view that people can actually interact with. It's an actual live iframe view into the page that is relevant to the release itself. And then of course you've got a quote, which, believe it or not, those quotes actually get picked up as headlines in some cases down the line, and we found those to be very effective as well. So this is also on this 2 of 3. This is also on the same data entry or submission page for PRWeb. You've got an area here where you can automatically update your social media platforms when the release is distributed. You can put your message there. You can have, in this case, we have Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn that is integrated, meaning that when this press release is sent out, these social platforms will automatically be updated with the post. Now, the only one that we've selected here is the Twitter account, and so when this is sent out and approved by PRWeb, then that tweet will be posted. This is also part of your PRWeb submission. You have some release options, date and time, when that release can be sent, regional focus. You can have up to 5 regions, and a region is really a city, a metro area. So you can be very focused, or you can be broad in the sense that you just go with the 5 largest cities in America. If you release, what's also nice about PRWeb is that we can focus just on a certain area. Let's say that I wanted to do South Florida or just Florida. I can have only the cities in Florida. I can have, below there you see is industry focus. I can have up to 10 industry topics or focus. Then I can also have media list distribution options by industry and by region. I can have up to 5 of those, 10 on the industry focus and 5 on the regional focus. There's an additional page that I was not able to capture that allows you by media outlet and by the author, either the editor, the journalist, the blogger, whoever is associated with that particular type of media outlet. You can actually select up to 200 individuals that your news release will go to their actual email inbox. And so you can get very granular on targeting your news releases, which we have found to be really helpful. And I'll give you kind of a demonstration of that, illustrate that later. All right, so this multi-channel integration, what are we talking about? This here is a graph that we put together that symbolizes or represents what we call a digital campaign wheel. And the wheel always has to be turning. You know, what we've found to have the benefits of increasing your following, improving your SEO, developing suspects to prospects to sales requires an ongoing effort that doesn't stop. And for most of our clients, we're sending out one news release every week. That's pretty much the minimum. And each news release has a different angle, a different tack, and some have incentives, some are, sweepstakes, some are general information, some are product-oriented, etc. But the idea is, just to give you one example, is that we use the news release to start with social media, which then has the potential to drive this wheel into, content marketing, into email marketing, and so we call it, linking out, your promotional and your events to the social platform. Now, what spun up there on the lower right is that all the apps that I'm referring to here, these are specific applications for Facebook. But we have them not only for Facebook, we have them for Instagram, we have them from other social media platforms. But the ones I'm going to be discussing today are for Facebook, but they're all mobile compatible. We're finding that mobile is essential, that a lot of people that are using Facebook are accessing Facebook through mobile, and when you have a dedicated application that fully takes advantage of the mobile screen and how mobile works, you would be amazed at the type of response and interaction and participation that you get from these events. So I'm going to be giving you an example of a sweepstakes that was initiated by a news release, also a digital download that was initiated by a news release, and a coupon offer from a large shoe boot manufacturer that also was initiated through a news release. And this is, remember, just think back to that marketing or that digital campaign wheel. How can we keep those wheels turning? And some are going to be spinning a little bit faster than others, depending on if you've hit a nerve with the audience. Okay, so this is an actual application that resides on Facebook. What's great about it is it gives you an 810 by 610 image, so you get this very large, beautiful image. This is an example of a, win an ultimate surf camp sweepstakes, North Shore, on Hawaii, 5 days, 4 nights. It's got a $5,000 value. If you're interested in this, then to get access to the sweepstakes itself, we're going to ask you to go ahead and hit a like button. Now, as you can see here, I brought up the share. This is very important. Throughout all of these social media incentive type programs, we always want to give the person the opportunity to share this great idea or this great opportunity with their friends. So you'll see that the share is included in just about every page. They go ahead and click the like, so now we're generating likes. That's called a fan gate. This is on a fan page. And this is our sweepstakes offer. This is the actual offer: 4-night stay, airfare, $500 cash, private surf lessons. If you're interested, go ahead and click on the Enter Now. They click on the Enter Now, and I have an entry form. So the entry form, we're collecting the name, email, and we're getting some, segmentation information. So again, there's our share button. We now get to segment our list right from the entry at the sweepstakes registration, which then allows us to begin a email marketing and drip campaign through an autoresponder that's already been preset by each one of these segmentations. So if you're a social media pro, my drip email marketing is going to have a separate autoresponder with a sequence of emails that are going to go out over a period of time speaking to the interests of the social media, versus an SEO expert is going to have a different autoresponder with a different set of messages, basically nurturing that individual to what we do and what we're offering, and again, hopefully engaging them, winning them over, and then ultimately becoming a client. Okay, so here's an example of a digital download. Like bold flavors, again, a link out from a news release, as a as a discussion on the company itself, with a link out to a fan recipe that was a digital download. If you wanted the actual recipe of one of the products was being given away through this digital download, they would link out to this fan page. Again, we have the share. If you want to participate and get it, go ahead and hit the like button. Then you've got the let's unlock it. And to unlock it, in this case, they actually had to do a share post. So by clicking unlock, would take them right to their Facebook. They would have to submit a share, and upon successful submission of that, it would give them an unlock, and then they would be able to download the recipe successfully. So now they've got something that other people can't get just because of the news release they read and the process that they went through to get this recipe, which they can again forward onto their friends or share the experience with them. This last example is of a coupon of a boot manufacturer. Again, we've got the share, and it says like boots, like exclusives, and like us to reveal a special fan-only discount on our entire line of fall and winter boots. So if we click the like button, the like us button, now you've got the coupon delivery right there of 50% off on your next pair of boots, which then, of course, you can share. And in the right circles, in the right groups, this can be a definite viral opportunity. We're working with a group called Lisa Freed, F-R-E-E-D-E, and she is a designer, jewelry designer. She's designing jewelry for Rihanna and a lot of the stars. And we're going to be doing a promotion like this for her jewelry using her celebrities, and it'll be both a combination of image as well as video associated with coupon and announced through a news release. So we think that that's going to have a really big hit in generating a lot of interest in her jewelry. Okay, so some sample results. We're going to look at iWatch Life. It's a client, Harmon's Luxury Log Cabins and A+ Vacation Homes in Florida. iWatch Life is a surveillance IP video technology. It's really affordable. They have some really interesting advantages. This is an example of one of their press releases, iWatch Life Contractor Watch. Now what we've done here is we've taken their applications and we haven't trademarked, but we've identified each niche and given it kind of a name so that we can build a story that's interesting around a specific application. And when we deliver this through PR Web, we're targeting audiences that would be most relevant and interested in this type of information. So you've got your headline, iWatch Life Contractor Watch, features, helps prevent fraud. So that's interesting. Gets people, what do you mean, what type of fraud? Clients of iWatch Surveillance System now have access to another beneficial feature, the ability to watch contractors in their home when they cannot be there in person. So people that are remodeling, etc., can now buy the system, and they can keep an eye on the people that are working there while they're away or at their work. Harmon's Luxury. Oh, you know what? Let me see if I can go back here. It's something I wanted to miss. All right, I'll have to come back to that. Harmon's Luxury Log Cabins, They are a very successful hospitality company in the West Virginia mountains. And on one of the releases, I just brought this up, we got 101 news agencies picked up a release within the first 12 hours. And again, we believe that this success was directly related to the specificity that we put into the targeting. It all comes down to targeting when you're distributing these, and it takes a little bit of time initially, but you get the right editors on the right desks, and you're pitching them basically a story that you think that they would be really interested in. It works out. So it's really important to take a little bit of time when you are selecting the recipients for your news release. This is a sample of how Google indexes. Some people are, say that Google doesn't, index PR web. Well, this is a general index, but they also index on the news side. I've got several examples of, many, if not all, of our news releases are indexed on Google News, as well as Yahoo News and, other news boards. So Harmon's Luxury Log Cabins, this is their analytics report. This happened within, we can see increase in their site traffic within 12 hours of the release. And what's there in the red box are sites that are referral sites. Facebook should have been included in that too. But the referral sites that they had not had before. So within 12 hours, we're seeing, a good amount of visits for this company here. It's pretty niche-y in what they do. So you can see we have immediate traffic, plus we have the signaling, the social signaling for SEO, and the key is to keep those oscillations, those link backs coming from the press releases. They're spiking and falling on a regular basis, and they're spiking and falling from credible, trusted websites, which tells Google that the Harmon's Luxury Log Cabins is being visited by these trusted sites, giving more trust and authority to their site and driving the keyword rankings up. If you look up, anything about West Virginia log cabins, I think we've got 150 keywords we're managing for them, and almost every one of them is #1 on page 1. All right, so we got A+ Vacation Homes. This is a rental home, luxury home company in Orlando, Florida. And this just gives you an example of some of the reporting that you may find with a press release distribution company. This one, you're looking at 47,000 on one. This is one news release, by the way. You've got almost 48,000 headline impressions in the first 9 days, and 62 full-page reads. And this is this is being monitored from the PR web hosting site itself. So, this is impressive because you usually don't have people linking back. So these are people that linked back to PR web and actually read the press release. And I think that peaked out after 13 days. Also, you can get a sense of how the news release is being read around the world. What was surprising for us is the activity in Australia, and also in Portugal was a lot of it. So now maybe in a future press release I can target one of these countries, because again, having the re-application for my content, I can now reach out just to Australian media and with an angle that helps Aussie who might be visiting Disney World in Florida. And that would be a future news release. That kind of concludes my presentation. I hope I've been able to help in some way or another. I guess we're going to be going to questions. I'm going to turn it back over to Byron.
Great, everyone. Great to be back. Fantastic presentation, Tom. Really appreciate the time you put into that and some of these examples. I personally have about 100 questions myself, so I'm going to ask a few of them. Let me turn back my slideshow back on and then click this, and there we go. So for starters, again, thanks to anyone for any feedback on Twitter. I'll pass that along to all of our speakers today. But I want to ask a couple of questions to Tom myself, and then I want to get some other ones. So, Tom, what are you seeing as the right pace and volume of press releases to pump out that can deliver ROI? And are you getting different types of, are you using press release strategy as a way to, build link popularity or reach visitors and readers in multiple channels? And, are you looking for signals across all of these social media channels and gauging success or failure of not only an individual press release but an entire strategy? How are you thinking about it? And how do you know if press releases are the right strategy for a customer? Could you answer that difficult question for us?
Sure. Well, I'll give it a shot. There's a lot to that one. Traditionally, I should say in the past, SEO companies use press releases to try to game the system. They were strictly doing it to build, high trusted links and authority based on specific keywords. And, who come on to that? Is there value, SEO value with news releases? Absolutely. Is it as dramatic as it used to be? No. Are we doing this for that reason? No, not at all. So that's the SEO, as far as we're concerned, is a component, all right, or it's a benefit of having an aggressive news release campaign. We do it primarily, and this is it kind of amazes me that people aren't doing it for this reason, to get that wheel turning, to amplify a good idea or a funny story or something that I can reach out. I can do a blog, but if I don't have a large blog following, I don't get the reach that I do with a news release. So, so why not put it out to as many people as I can, and if I can have some incentives or games or sweepstakes or something associated with it as well to make it, a little bit more compelling, a little more interesting. One of the things I didn't mention that we do is that we're very religious about working our social media streams. Part of the system that we have basically gives us a common feed for Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, all of them. And our professionals work every single message every day. And what we see is when we do these news releases and get people buzzing, we get spikes in that messaging. And we combine the news release with targeted key phrases that actually are reaching out throughout the entire, spanning the entire social media sphere, and sending us messages that are related to our clients' products and services, etc., which we are proactively engaging in, see? And so it's almost like, it's like farming. We're farming customers, and we're trying to bring as many of these customers to our media feed, like a Hootsuite type of process. And then we have real people engaging with this stream or river every single day. So we're reaching out through targeted key phrases, working that stream. We're getting new additions to the stream via our news releases as they go out. And the key is to keep this buzz and engagement and interest nonstop for, a company or a product, depending on what the objectives are, marketing objectives of the customer. So I guess to summarize, we use it for SEO. We use it as a fire starter to engage, and in some cases we get really lucky and we'll get a hit on a major media portal or a newspaper or a radio. For example, one of our releases got picked up on a couple of radio stations, and that was kind of fun. So those are all just kind of added bonuses.
Good answer, and I'll shorten the answer by saying amplification of the story, which I think is a great answer. How are you using press releases? What's the right way to do it? Maybe it's not so much how many press releases should I bang out. Oh, let's do 10. Let's do 60. Let's do one for every blog post we run. Really, it's more, do we have a story that's worth amplifying and therefore worth money to put it through that channel that says, hey, I got to pay for this service. It's designed to reach prospect customers orbiting at high speeds, or reach my fan base, or go on record with a particular statement that I feel is going to support the amplification of something we're trying to bring to market. Somebody had a good story.
Which brings up, I'm sorry to interrupt, but it brings up the other interesting point of that is there a way economically to maybe pre-buy or get a reduced rate on news releases, so that strategy now becomes an option where there might have been a financial hurdle or barrier that kept you from engaging in that strategy.
And we'll talk about that. I mean, that's a good setup for lots of things, like where can you get, what are the best services to use, what are the best affordable things. But I want to ask one more question that somebody chimed in on, and that is, we'll get to that in a second, but somebody wanted to know, I'm a two-person service organization, and in the video business, more specifically in the medical video business. How can press releases be a strategy for my company? There aren't coupons I can give out to your examples. There isn't a sales offer, which I would, argue. What are your thoughts on that? And notice I put up this, find the creative story slide that I talked a little bit about. How can we coach and train people on finding that creative story and using press releases creatively to tell that story?
Well, for me, I need to really understand the company's value proposition. What are the pain points, and what are the solutions to those pain points? And also, obviously, once we know what the pain points are, we know who the audience is. And it's from that knowledge that we create the angles, I should put it that way, or get creative on our approach to communicating the solutions to those pain points. So, I mean, what we have here on your slide is good, but we like to get very specific to what it is that the client's doing, what is it they're solving, and then how can we put that into a conversation that's appealing and engaging and beneficial to the audience.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. Solving problems is certainly good, but Tom, one of the problems that people have when they think about press releases, and to this point that you just said, and to the question that was answered, that was asked, is, we keep thinking about our companies and our features and our benefits and a bunch of sales crap, to be honest. And we are trained mentally to say, we launched a new product, let's launch a press release. This is the mindset that is, in my opinion, all wrong, right? And that does not engage customers per se, or readers or fans, and it's not something that is socially responsive. Now, let's take SEO Moz, which just changed its name to Moz, okay? They have a really cool approach to doing that. That's a big move for their company. Their teasing and unfolding why they did that. I think we probably all know why they did that, is because SEO in many people's minds is a dead concept. This fool the search engine strategy with a bunch of gimmicks and tricks is over. So SEO Moz is Moz. But that's a story, and they're unfolding it really, I think, intelligently. They radically shifted their site over, so boom, transition happened. But, you now can sign up for a beta version of their new product. They have 300,000 customers. I signed up within hours of the release of this. There were over 25,000 people of 3,000 that want to be alerted when the new Moz analytics platform comes out. So what I'm saying is they're developing a story, right, around this radical change. And I think that's got to be the approach. You got to find a story. And I think it is cool if you have remarkable employees that ran the Boston Marathon this year, and maybe went back to run the final phase of it that they opened it up to, or that your company's gone green and doesn't believe in paper anymore. Or, these are the DNA principles that I think make businesses stand apart from one another and get distinguish. So sure, you could look at a lot of these things on here as fruity, like is there really a story here? I argue yes. I argue that you have an obligation if you're a content marketer and believe in content marketing and believe that advertising and push marketing is a thing of the past and that nobody wants to be sold to. You have an obligation to find that creative story. What are your thoughts on that? Does that fit with your strategy, and can you develop ROI from this kind of fruity approach?
Well, that's you hit the nail on the head. That's the whole point. Once I understand the client and what the client is offering and the solutions they provide, then the real magic, if you will, is coming up with that creative story. When I mentioned about this idea of finding the conversation that is compelling, that gets people's interest, where you're not pushing a fact, feature, benefits at them, you're not pushing something at them, you're creating a sticky story that draws people in, that wants them to engage, and not only just engage, but to forward the story or to share it with someone in some way. That's the magic, and that's a human asset that's going to be able to effectively do that. And that's, to me, that's the gold. That's the platinum. That's what companies are going to pay big bucks for, is that creative genius, if you will, that can translate what it is that someone's basically trying to sell and get people excited about it in a natural, conversational way.
Yeah, it's hard to do, and it's hard for everybody to do, but hopefully we offered some good insights into this presentation. Tom, how can you tell people a little bit about your company? I want you to give an opportunity to talk with your company about Blackwood Productions and what you guys are doing over there. Also, Rob is on the line. Rob, are you hanging tough over there, Rob?
Yeah, I'm hanging in. Thank you.
Hey, thank you.
Good presentation, by the way.
Thanks very much. Tom did a great job, and I tried to float my knowledge in this area and offer some creative ideas as well. Where do you think press releases are going to go? Hey, Rob, I'd love to hear your answer on this. Where are press releases going? Is this a dying venture, or do you feel like it's an important amplification channel, to use Tom's words?
I think that the article submissions and press releases of the past, like you guys highlighted, are dead. They're a thing that doesn't draw interest. And the major fact is that these new press releases, how they connect in with your social and drive through a set of sequences the customer through their interest level in your company and can give something back to them. And this provides the story aggregation across the internet when people do that. And that is the new way, is this new, really you can call it a new social press release, because it's not just a press release. Even though it's just going to some agencies and stuff, the aspects involved inside the press release, the video, the campaigns, the stuff that you're offering on Facebook, these are the important factors.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's funny. The community is an important part of our content marketing world right now, and I wanted to note how difficult or how things have changed with regards to evaluating a person. Right? When you're interviewing somebody for a job, you're not certainly just looking at their resume. You're looking at their LinkedIn profile. How many followers do they have? You're looking at Twitter. You're looking at Facebook. You're evaluating them much differently than you did 5 or 10 years ago. And the same is probably true with a company. When you look at a company now, you're looking, I believe that press releases still hold that credible channel of saying, hey, they're going on record with a public statement about something, and they paid for that distribution. It's it's documented in a history log, and it's not just blasted out on a random blog post of someone's made up site. So I see the future as Google continuing to offer some credential, but I also see a future tied into social media and the viral nature of that statement. The impact on that. How many views did it have? How did it fit into traffic to the website? And then from the company's perspective, how did that traffic that landed on one page influence the conversion path? And a lot of people still can take it on the news. I want to know what's going on with this company, before I buy something from them. And that's where press releases come in. And companies that are doing advanced press releases with video and explanations and why do we do this, and social ramifications built in, social strategy, those are going to be viewed as a higher end product produced by sophisticated companies with sophisticated marketing techniques. Tom, agree, disagree?
I completely agree. I think that the hardest thing for our company is finding these people that can bridge that gap, because you've got to have someone that's creative, but someone that also has some business sense, and that's not always easy to find. One of the things I wanted to mention too is on localization. With some of the capabilities of these more advanced news release distribution outlets, you can get very granular, as I mentioned earlier. And for companies that are trying to promote, a service or a product or both in a community, we have found that a news release that's targeted to the community with the right message, again, that's soliciting a conversation rather than a product push or a feature push, has worked really well with us. Especially if we're, maybe it's a restaurant that's, opening another store, or a franchise that's moving to an area. The coupon link out is big. I mean, those link outs, those social sites are so important, because we're building a list, and I hope everyone caught the importance of being able to segment a list right from a news release. I mean, that's impressive, and then speak to that segmentation through another channel, drip email marketing, which we have found to produce, in terms of closing ratios or terms of nurturing people to be, becoming buyers. Once we can get them into that email marketing channel through drip email, our ratios are very high.
The problem, of course, is how do you keep coming up with all this creative content to drip, to push, to promote, to tell the story? And that's, of course, where WriterAccess comes in.
I was just going to say, that's why I lead into you guys. This is going to sound like a pitch, but it's the truth. Our company leans into your resources very heavily, and we've been really satisfied and excited about it. So, I mean, that's just the truth. I don't think we would be able to be as prolific and as effective as we are today if we didn't have you guys as a resource.
Appreciate that. But it is a tough question. Where is all this great content going to come from that fuels everything we've discussed today, including simply crafting a press release? How can we get better at that? And we're struggling with that daily, and I'm personally trying to create, whether it be widgets or wizards or whatever the case may be, things that help our customers find out the wants and needs of their customers, or craft out, really good descriptions, and or empowering our writers to help develop these ideas that customers can really gravitate towards. So we're working on that. But the local comment was really cool, and I was on a webinar just last month rather, with Sergio, the founder of GeoRanker. Really great webinar. And local is coming at us so fast, and it's clear that that's where Google's going. They're seeing, their customer base, namely all of us listening in on how we search for Google, whether it be a restaurant we're going to, or a design firm, which Google's immediately popping up, a Boston-based design firm, not just a nationally or globally ranked design firm if we're looking to buy services or products. So local's coming at us, and I think that's where press releases are going to have a very interesting future, particularly with that PR web interface that allows you to target, what was it, up to 11 cities, was it? Or I forget what it was, Tom.
Well, it's 5 cities, 10 industry specifics, and then 5, and then the regions, 5 regions. But more importantly is the screen I didn't show, which I was not able to capture, which allows you to sort by outlet, meaning what an outlet would be a news desk, a radio, television broadcasting, blogger, etc. Target them, and right down to the individual writer. We can get profiles on the individual writers. So like in the city of San Clemente, where I'm at, I can literally find every blogger, every news associated outlet in the city. I can target them and send my news release with, directly to their email box.
Tom, tell us a little bit about Blackwood Productions and what you guys are aiming to do over there, and who you want to get a hold of you, and with regards to customers and new business.
Well, we're a full-service agency with emphasis on the, multi-channel approach. Our background is started in, when the internet started, primarily. First company we took public was in '99. It was a company called eCommercial.com. It was a rich media email marketing company. It was really Web 2.0 before Web 2.0 existed. And so we've been doing this a long time. SEO, we've built some very unique and proprietary technology that is working fabulous. Like I said, we have 38,000 customers, and we seem to be benefiting from some of these new Google updates, especially Penguin 2.0. We've actually seen a rise in our rankings across the board, so that's a good thing. It's because we do things right. All of our content's written by you guys, or it's custom written, it's all crafted, and we dedicate content by the keyword. A lot of people don't do that. I mean, if you've got 200 keywords, you're going to have several hundred pages that are going to be each focused on that. So we do some things that other people don't do. One of the things we're excited about, though, is making the PR web distribution channel available. We're going to, you and I were talking earlier, we plan on making that available through WriterAccess.
Definitely.
At a reduced rate, and that's something I'm going to let you talk about. But between that, and then also we're going to allow people access to this multi-channel software that we have that allows you to do, the email marketing, the press releases, to be able to manage all your social media through a single feed, to do localization, and all into one system. So we're basically going to offer the tool, and then the client can use the tool for a price. And if the client isn't interested in using the tool themselves, they can hire us, and we can put our creative power, and because we built the tool, we know how to use it, and so we're just going to make those things available.
Awesome. Really cool. Appreciate the opportunity. So everyone visit blackwoodproductions.com, and that gets up and running, which it is now. But are you looking for customers now, Tom, or are you a lot of this is being built?
We're always looking for customers.
Right.
The 38,000 I mentioned are primarily SEO companies, and our multi-channel clients are usually larger clients, and they're we're in about the 20, 30 of those. And so we're getting some really good response, and it's just an exciting time to be in marketing, in general.
Exactly. Well, know that we're drinking the Blackwood Productions Kool-Aid over here. We appreciate you being a customer of ours, and we're super excited to launch a press release distribution service through PR Web, through Blackwood, as part of some offerings. We're crafting and building the API integration now to be able to do that, but the prices are going to be, let's just say, crazy low. People already know that we have a partnership with Getty Images. You can buy images at WriterAccess for less than $3 for a low-res image, whereas on a iStock photo it's $8 or more. So we're going to try to radically decrease the prices for press release distribution and offer that pre-flighting solution where we'll take a look at it and tell you what's wrong with it, and be sure that it manages through the workflow and timestamp it all. And I know that Blackwood's going to be a big help in letting us get that done in a much more efficient way than us trying to climb up the pole with PR Web ourselves. We already have some customers using PR Newswire. We have an API with them. You need an account with PR Newswire to facilitate that API connection. And here we want to do it differently, where you just you click a button, for a press release that you have created or that you load up, and boom, you just get access for an immediate distribution with some pre-flighting on our end. So we're super excited to get that in the works in the next couple of weeks. I would expect that to launch no later than July 1st, hopefully a lot sooner. So we'll try to get that up and running. And overall, guys, thanks so much for being on the show. Rob, Tom, thanks much.
Thanks so much, Byron. It's great being with you.
Right on. Until next month, everybody, I hope your content marketing world is a little smarter, better, faster, and wiser, particularly when it comes to press releases. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next month.